Once upon a time, there was a family of birds that lived at the top of a large tree in the middle of an enchanted forest. Papa João was an orange-breasted thrush with a bright orange chest and a melodious song that awakened the entire forest at dawn. Mama Clara was a delicate thrush with soft brown feathers and gentle eyes that sparkled like little stars. They had 3 adorable chicks: Pedro, the oldest and bravest, only 2 weeks old; Ana, the middle child, curious and clever; and little Miguel, the mischievous youngest who was still learning to fly. The family lived happily in their cozy nest, made of interwoven twigs, soft moss, and fluffy feathers that Clara had carefully collected. The nest sat on a strong, high branch, protected by green leaves that danced gently in the wind. Every day, João left early to search for seeds, fruits, and small insects to feed his family, while Clara cared for the chicks and taught them their first lessons about life in the forest. Pedro could already fly short distances and loved exploring the branches near the nest. Ana had endless curiosity and asked 1,000 questions a day. Mama, why are leaves green? Papa, where do the clouds go? Why do squirrels have such fluffy tails? Miguel, meanwhile, was still taking his first wobbly flights but already showed himself to be the most playful of the family, always inventing games and making mischief that brought laughter to everyone. One day, however, the family's peace was interrupted. João returned home earlier than usual, with ruffled feathers and a worried expression on his face. Clara immediately noticed something was wrong. "What happened, my dear?" asked Clara, approaching her husband. "Darling," said João with a grave voice, "I saw big, noisy machines approaching our forest. The men are cutting down trees to build houses and roads. Our tree is still safe, but not for much longer." Clara felt her heart race. The chicks, who had been playing in the nest, stopped to listen to their parents' conversation. "Does this mean we'll have to find a new home?" asked Pedro, trying to sound brave but with a tremor in his voice. "Yes, my son," replied João tenderly. "We need to leave before it's too late. But don't worry, we'll find an even more beautiful and safe place for our family." Ana began to cry softly. "But I like it here. This is our home." Clara embraced her little daughter with her soft wings. "I know, my little one. We all love this place. But sometimes we need to be brave and set out in search of new adventures. Who knows, maybe we'll find an even more special place." Miguel, who still didn't fully understand the situation, asked, "Can we take our nest with us?" João smiled sadly. "No, little one. The nest must stay in the tree. But don't worry, when we find our new home, we'll build an even more beautiful and comfortable nest." That night, the family could barely sleep. The distant sound of machines echoed through the forest, and everyone knew that the journey awaiting them would be long and full of challenges. Clara spent the entire night mentally organizing what they would need to take, while João planned the route they would follow. At dawn, João woke the whole family with his gentle song. "It's time to leave, my family. The rising sun will guide us to our new destination." Clara helped the chicks prepare, checking that their feathers were clean and that they had eaten enough for the long journey. Pedro stretched his wings with determination, Ana dried her last tears, and Miguel hopped excitedly, seeing everything as a big game. "Where are we going, Papa?" asked Pedro. "I've heard of a magical forest on the other side of the mountains," explained João. "They say the trees there are even taller, the fruit sweeter, and there's a crystal-clear lake where we can drink pure water every day." "And are there other birds there?" Ana wanted to know. "Yes, my daughter. They say it's home to many bird families, each with their own songs and colors. You'll make many new friends." With heavy hearts but full of hope, the thrush family left their beloved home. João flew in front, followed by Clara, then Pedro, Ana, and finally Miguel, who still flew a bit slowly but tried hard to keep up with the family. They flew for hours over green fields dotted with colorful flowers, winding streams that sparkled in the sun, and small towns where people looked like ants down below. Miguel began to get tired, so Clara flew beside him, singing gentle songs to give him strength. "I'm hungry," complained Ana when the sun was already high in the sky. "Let's make our first stop," decided João, spotting an orchard full of fruit trees. They landed on an apple tree loaded with red, juicy fruits. While they fed, they met a family of great kiskadis who lived in that orchard. "Where are you traveling to?" asked Dona Francisca, the oldest Kiskadee. We're looking for a new home, explained Clara. Our forest is being destroyed. What a shame, said Dona Francisca with compassion. But you've chosen a good direction. The Enchanted Forest really exists, and it's as beautiful as they say. It's 2 days' flight from here. 2 days, exclaimed Miguel with wide eyes. That's very far. Seu Francisco, the Papa Kiskadee, laughed gently. For you who are young and strong, it's not that difficult. But I'll give you some advice. When you reach the Valley of Echoes, be careful with the gray crow. He's not bad, but he likes to play tricks on travelers. Thank you for the warning, said João gratefully. After resting and eating well, the family continued their journey. The second day of travel brought new challenges. Dark clouds formed in the sky, and soon it began to rain. The birds had to seek shelter under a stone bridge, where they shared space with a family of swallows who were also traveling. The rain will pass soon, said the mama swallow. We know this weather well. In an hour the sun will shine again. And she was right. When the rain stopped, a beautiful rainbow appeared in the sky, with all imaginable colors shining like a gift from nature. Look! Shouted Anna, pointing with her wing. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. The rainbow is a good sign, said Clara smiling. It means good things await us. They continued flying until they reached the famous Valley of Echoes. It was a mysterious place, surrounded by tall mountains where sounds bounced back and created magical echoes. They had barely landed to rest when they heard a deep voice. Who dares pass through my valley without asking permission? The family looked around frightened until they saw a large gray crow perched on a high rock, with eyes that sparkled mischievously. We're just a family looking for a new home, said João bravely. We don't want to cause trouble. The gray crow flew to them and observed them carefully. A family of thrushes, is it? And where do you think you're going? To the Enchanted Forest, replied Pedro, trying not to show fear. Ah, the Enchanted Forest, laughed the crow. Many say they're going there, but few manage to find it. It only appears to those who prove themselves worthy. And how do we prove we're worthy? Asked Clara gently. The crow thought for a moment, then smiled mysteriously. I'll ask you a question. What's most important in a family? Pedro immediately answered, courage. Anna shouted, intelligence. Miguel jumped, fun. But Clara, with her maternal wisdom, said softly, love. Love is what keeps a family together in all moments, good or difficult. The gray crow clapped with his wings. Correct. The mama thrush understood. Love is indeed the most important thing. Therefore, I'll help you. The crow flew to the top of the highest mountain and shouted, Thrush family, follow the sound of my echo. His voice echoed through the mountains, creating a unique melody that seemed to form a sound path through the valley. The family followed the sound, flying from echo to echo, until they reached the other side of the mountains. Thank you, Grey Crow. They all shouted together. Good luck in your new life, little thrushes, replied the crow, waving with his wings. When they finally passed through the mountains, the family was speechless. Before them stretched the most beautiful landscape they had ever seen. The Enchanted Forest was even more magnificent than they had imagined. Giant trees touched the clouds, their leaves shone in shades of green that seemed to have come from a dream, and flowers of all colors created a multicolored carpet on the forest floor. In the center of the forest was a crystal-clear lake, so clear they could see golden fish swimming at the bottom. Small waterfalls created natural music, and the air was perfumed with the aroma of wildflowers. This is it, exclaimed João with emotion. This is our new home. But where would they build their nest? The forest was immense, with hundreds of trees to choose from. They flew around exploring, looking for the perfect place. Anna spotted a tall tree with strong branches. How about this one here? Pedro preferred a tree closer to the lake. This would be better, we can drink water whenever we want. Miguel wanted a tree covered with fruits. Here we'd never go hungry. But Clara had a different idea. What if we look for a tree where other birds already live? That way the chicks will have friends to play with. They flew a bit more and found a majestic tree where several different bird families had built their nests. There were red cardinals, yellow goldfinches, blue buntings, and even a family of hummingbirds that created a spectacle of colors. "Welcome to the friendship tree," sang a red cardinal named Roberto. "Here all families live in harmony. You can build your nest on that branch there," offered a goldfinch named Daurada, pointing to a perfect spot, protected but with a view of the entire forest. The thrush family was moved by the warm reception. They immediately began working on their new nest. João collected the most resistant twigs, Clara carefully wove the walls, Pedro helped line the bottom with soft moss, Ana chose the softest feathers for the finishing touches, and even little Miguel helped by carrying small materials. In just a few days, they had built the most beautiful and comfortable nest they had ever had. It was bigger than the previous one, better protected from wind and rain, and had a spectacular view of the entire enchanted forest. The chicks quickly made friends with the other young birds. Pedro became friends with a brave cardinal named Marcos, Ana discovered she had much in common with a curious goldfinch named Sofia, and Miguel found the perfect playmate in an energetic hummingbird named Zika. João discovered that in the enchanted forest there was an abundance of food. Sweet fruits grew year-round, nutritious seeds were easy to find, and there were tasty insects in sufficient quantity for all families. Clara loved the mornings when all the mama birds gathered near the lake to chat while the chicks played. One day, a few weeks after they had settled in, Ana asked, "Mama, do you miss our old home?" Clara thought for a moment, watching her chicks playing happily with their new friends, listening to João singing joyfully with the other papa birds, and feeling the peace and security of their new life. "You know, my daughter," said Clara softly, "I've discovered that home isn't a specific place. Home is where our family is together, where there's love, where we feel safe and happy. And here in the enchanted forest, surrounded by new friends and so much beauty, I feel we found an even better home than we imagined." Pedro, who was listening to the conversation, added, "And the coolest thing is that now we know we're brave enough to face any challenge. And smart enough to find solutions," said Ana proudly. "And that a united family can overcome any difficulty," completed Miguel, doing a pirouette in the air. João landed beside the family, bringing fresh fruits for dinner. "You know," he said, "I think our adventure to find a new home taught us something very important. Sometimes, when we think we've lost something valuable, we actually gain an opportunity to discover even more precious things." That night, as the family snuggled in their new nest, they heard a magnificent symphony. All the birds in the friendship tree sang together, creating a melody more beautiful than any they had ever heard. It was a song of welcome, of friendship, of hope and new beginnings. Clara looked at each of her chicks, Pedro, now more confident and brave, Ana, with eyes shining with satisfied curiosity, and Miguel, falling asleep happily after a day full of games, and felt her heart overflow with gratitude. João began to sing his special melody, the one he always sang at dawn, but this time with a new note of joy. Clara joined the song, followed by the chicks, and soon the entire tree was singing along. And so, the family of birds who had lost their home discovered something wonderful. Sometimes you need to lose something to find something even better. They not only found a new place to live, but discovered a community, made true friendships, and learned they were stronger and braver than they had imagined. When the stars began to shine in the sky of the enchanted forest, the thrush family fell asleep in peace, knowing they had found much more than a new home. They had found a new beginning full of possibilities, friendships, and adventures. And every night, before sleeping, they remembered the most important lesson from their great adventure: that with love, courage, and family unity, any challenge can be overcome, and any dream can come true. From that day on, the thrush family lived happily ever after in the enchanted forest, and their story became legend among all birds, inspiring other families who also needed to find new homes to never give up on their dreams and to always believe in the power of family love. The end.